I get everybody's attention here real quick. We'll get underway. So good evening and welcome to Whitebird Township's annual budget meeting. My name is Patrick Christofferson and I am the statutorily appointed clerk treasurer for the township. And I want to let you all know before we get started that this evening's broadcast is being put out through YouTube. So you can watch it again and again and again if you'd like. Tonight's meeting is not a town board meeting, but a meeting of the people. Town board staff and township consultants are present as a resource only. The main part of the presentation is the tax levy and budget for 2024. When it comes to a vote, only town residents have the privilege of voting at that point. When we get to the end of this evening's presentation, you will have an opportunity to ask questions. Please, in the interest of time, limit your comments and questions to those that directly apply to the township's proposed budget and tax levy. Since this meeting is not a town board meeting, it will be run by a moderator. And at this time, I would ask for a volunteer to fill the role as moderator. Can I get a volunteer? Could you state your name and address, please, sir? Thanks, Bob. Anybody else considering volunteering? Okay. I would ask for a motion from the floor to appoint Bob Kermis, a township resident, as this evening's moderator. Can I get a second? Second? All in favor? All right, Bob, take it away.
Well, first of all, I'm going to welcome everybody here. And this is a pretty good sized crowd for some compared to some of the past budget meetings. But, couple of things just to get started. To conduct a meeting, we'd like to follow a sort of a moderate Robert's Rules of Order. So we're not going to be real rigorous about it, but it's basically follow the Robert's Rules of Order with respect to the audience and the people that you're working with here. We do have a parliamentarian here, the town attorney, Chad Lemons, is going to be our parliamentarian. Pat will be responsible for making sure we have minutes of the meeting taken. When we do get to the session of the meeting for question and answers, we do ask that you use the mic on the floor, identify yourself and with your name and your address. So with that, I don't think there's anything else to add. We do have an agenda, and it looks like you all picked one up at the door. So I'll ask for a motion to approve the agenda for this meeting. Is there a second? Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the agenda is approved. The December 6, 2022 special town budget meeting are in your agenda packet, and we do need to show review of those meeting minutes and a motion to approve them as they're submitted. I'm sure everybody got a chance to read them right now in great detail, but and they were on the website, so there's been good opportunity. So I'll ask for a motion then to approve the meeting minutes as submitted. Is there a second? Second. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. No opposed. That motion passes. All right, the primary item of the meeting tonight is a presentation for the proposed budget and property tax. And with that, I'll turn the floor over to Tom Kelly, the town finance officer.
Thank you, Bob. Of course, it's the budget meeting. What would a budget meeting be without a joke? So, what is the best kind of lullaby? A CPA discussing their work. Why did the accountant cross the road? To bore the people on the other side. with that,
We're not going to give you another chance now. Nope.
no,
Get two, that's it.
that's it. They were short ones, so I did two. The purpose tonight is to help residents understand the township's budget and our property tax levy. And then the residents will vote on the property tax levy and then make a recommendation on the town's general fund budget for 2024. Our proposed property tax and levy. Before we get started on that, I'd like to highlight that we do receive 3 different awards from the Government Finance Officers Association of the United States and Canada. The first one, which would be on the far side there from me, is for our audit report. We received that for the 28th year in a row. The one in the middle is for our budget. We've received that one 22 years. And then the last one that's kind of hard to see because it's white is for the popular report, which we publish on our website in about September of each year after the audit is done. And we received that one 8 years now. We are one of 10 governments in Minnesota to receive all 3 of the awards. One of the things the audit includes is a chart comparing us to similar size cities for expenditures by per capita. And I know this chart is a little hard to read, but from this chart, most cities in 2021 on average for expenditures, and they use cities that were 10,000 to 20,000 in population. They spent on current expenditures about $754 per capita, and the township in 2022 spent about $485 per capita. Our capital outlay, most cities only spent $407. The township, because of our road projects and some of the park projects that we've had going on, we're a little bit higher at $523. And then our debt service is quite a bit lower than the cities, where the cities spent around $202 and we're at $92. In total, the city's total expenditures average around $1,363 per capita, and the township is at $1,100. So we are a bit lower than similar sized cities. Again, another chart that's a little bit hard to see. Our total budget for all funds is just over $23,541,000. It's broken into various areas. For 2024, our enterprise funds are about 35%. That's down from 37% last year. Our internal internal service funds have increased. They're about 8% of the budget compared to 5% last year. Our general fund is 27% of the budget compared to 26% last year. Our debt service funds remained at 6%, and then our capital improvements, our capital outlay, decreased from 26% down to 24%. So, another way to look at it is expenditures by function. Again, it's comparing it to 2023, and again, it's very comparable. The biggest chunk there is our capital outlay. Last year it was at 41%, this year it's at 42%. Again, our debt service is still at 6%. Our operating transfers, which is money we move from one fund to another, remained at 4%. Personnel services stayed at 12%, and then supplies stayed at 3%. And our charges for other services went from 34% down to 33%. So the chart doesn't change much from year to year, and obviously our biggest area of expenditures is capital expenditures. Expenditures, again, for all funds is just over $23,541,000. That's an increase of 7.63%. Of that, our personnel services are increasing 4.38%. We have plugged in a wage increase for the employees of 4% as we are negotiating our union contract that expires at the end of this year. And then we don't have our 2024 health insurance rates yet, so we have plugged 18% for those items. All in all, our personnel services are increasing only 4%, or just over 4%, because of some retirements where we've had new people come in at lower pay rates. We also don't propose any new positions or increases to our personnel in 2024. As I said, our capital outlay is our largest part. That is increasing 9.7%. We have a larger street improvement project planned for 2024. The areas that are being planned are the Mallard Ponds area and the Parkview Court area. We have about $3,795,000 budgeted for those road improvements. 2024 will be year 6 of the 10-year pavement management plan, where we're redoing a section of streets each year over the 10-year period. Also, we have a transfer from the general fund of $350,000 for park improvements. Total park improvements planned for 2024 is just over $1,200,000. It includes some improvements to Bel Air Beach, rehabbing some of the parking lot at Polar Lakes Park, rehabilitating some trails, and then replacement of a playground at Mead Park. Our enterprise funds are increasing 2.54% from 2023. A lot of that increase is due to the improvements that are planned. When we do the street projects, there's always some improvements that are due there. A lot of it is in drainage or stormwater. Our rates for the utility funds are set to cover operations 100% and then depreciation of the assets at 75%. The good news here is our rates are such and bringing in enough revenue that they do cover that now. So for 2024, we have no rate increase planned for water and sewer. However, our stormwater, which has the most improvements needed, we are increasing that 50 cents per quarter for 2024, but that'll be the only increases for 2024. The debt service for the town is at $1,467,218. Some good news here. The town back in 2021 received a AA plus from Moody's, or from Standards and Poor's, and then this past year, or this summer, Moody's investors did a rating review, and they upgraded us to a AA1, which is the equivalent of the AA plus from S&P. So both of our The rating agencies have us one step below AAA, and both of them pretty much say the only way we're getting to be a AAA is if we grow. So we've got to take over some other areas of the cities to get that way. Right now for 2024, even with the street projects, we are not planning on issuing any new debt in 2024. Right now, the township has 3 debt issues outstanding. We have the 2019, 2020, and 2021 improvement bonds, which were all issued for the road projects in those years. The 2021 bond covered road improvements both in 2021 and 2022. The 2023 road project we funded internally, and we're planning on doing that in 2024. Because of that, as of the end of this year, we will have debt outstanding of $11,725,000. Our high was at the end of 2021, 2 years ago, when we were at $13,515,000. So we've brought that down. Now, those 3 debt issues do require a debt levy, and for 2024, that is set at $467,500. If you take a median value home in the township, which for 2024, the county estimates at $361,650, they would have a monthly cost of $6.58 to pay off that debt. The general fund, that accounts for our day-to-day operations of the township. The general fund budget is proposed to increase 10.44%. And unfortunately, the main revenue source for our general fund is property taxes. Our budget is balanced, which means our revenues do equal our expenditures, so we're not using any reserves to balance the budget. And this chart is showing the expenditure breakdown. Basically, it compares 23 to 24. Again, not much has changed. Public Works in 2023 was 23% of the budget. It's dropping down to 30%. Our parks remained at 15%. Our general government is going down from 18% down to 16%. And then public safety is increasing from 35% to 39% of our budget. As I said, it's a 10.44% or an increase of $590,371 from last year. As I said, the largest part is public safety. Right now, the increase is the budget is $2,427,163. That is an increase of 22.10%. The police budget, which is our sheriff's department, is based on their contract, and right now for 2024, they are proposing a 12.69% increase. The big increase is our fire protection from White Bear Lake. It is proposed to increase 61.18%, or $274,386. There's 2 parts that make up that portion. There is about a 20.5% increase for our contract for fire services. And then there is $182,316 proposed for our share of White Bear Lake's debt on their new public safety facility. If you take our public safety budget and put that onto the median value home, you end up with a monthly cost of $23. Our public works budget is increasing 2.33%, up to $1,848,100. The main increase there is for the personnel service increases that I talked about earlier. And on a median value home, they would pay about $22 for public works. That includes both the snow plowing, road patching. It also includes any emerald ash borer tree removal that we have to do on town property or on the boulevards. Our general government, which includes our administration building or our administration staff, elections, recycling, planning and development, that is increasing $8,638 to $999,822, or 0.87%. Again, a lot of that is due to the personnel increases that I talked about earlier. If you take general government onto a median value home, they would pay about $10.67 for general government. Finally, our parks, they're increasing 11.53% to $969,544. Again, it's the personnel, and then the park improvements. As I said, we're transferring $350,000 from this budget over to our park improvement funds, and again, it's helping to do some improvements on the Bel Air Beach, some trail and Polar Lake Park parking lot rehabilitation, and then the playground replacement at Mead Park. Median value home pays about $11.83 for parks. Moving to the revenue side, I like to call these charts the Pac-Man chart. You can see our property tax levy makes up the biggest part. That's the blue part. Last year, 2023, it was 87% of our revenue. That is actually going to decrease down to 84%. And a big reason it is decreasing is intergovernmental revenues is increasing from 3% to 7% because the state is providing us with what they call public safety aid. It's a one-time payment. We're using half in 2024 and half in 2025 to help offset some of the fire department increases. In total, the public safety aid for 2024 will be $240,500. So again, property. As I said, we've got this new revenue source called public safety aid, $240,500. It's going to offset the fire increase, at least for this year and next year. Property taxes are still the largest revenue source. Our fiscal disparities, which is a revenue sharing mechanism in the metro area on commercial property for the township, is actually going to decrease in 2024 down to $414,804. Which gives us a general fund property tax levy proposed at $4,799,696. This is the chart breaking out the property taxes. As you can see, we got the $4,799,696 for property taxes, $414,804 for fiscal disparities, giving us a total operating levy of $5,214,500. Debt levy of $467,500, which gives us a total tax levy of $5,682,000. That is a 4.906 increase from 2023. And to give you an idea, this chart, if you can read it, is of all the Ramsey County communities, their proposed levies compared to 2023, compared to 2024. And we here are the fourth lowest increase in out of the 19 communities in Ramsey County. And our surrounding communities, for example, White Bear Lake on this chart, their property tax increase is 22.6%. Vadnais Heights is proposed at 15.9. North Oaks is at 14.4, and Gem Lake is at 7.3. And for this, it was our preliminary levy that we certified in September, which we've come down from a little bit. And so for this chart, we are at 5.9. But since then, we've basically dropped it a percentage down to 4.9. Now, there's different factors that make up your property tax. The Ramsey County assessor sets your market value. You receive those notices in the spring, and then there's an appeal process that takes place over the summer. The property class rates are established by the state of Minnesota, and then those class rates are applied to your market value to create what the state calls tax capacity. The town then tonight will establish our property tax levy, with the town board giving final approval at their meeting on December 18th. The property tax levy is divided then by the town's total tax capacity to determine a tax rate, and then that tax rate is multiplied by your individual tax capacity to determine the amount of property taxes you owe the township. So it's a nice, simple, easy system. As I said, the town's tax capacity did increase by 10.25%. We're now at just over $21 million in tax capacity. You can see we've been steadily going up basically since 2003. Prior to 2008 through 2003, we had the housing mortgage crisis where values were dropping. And then since then, they've been slowly climbing. And then this year, for whatever reason, it went up just over 10%. As I said, our property tax levy also has been increasing, as this chart shows. We are proposing the levy at $5,682,000. If you take our property tax levy and divide it by that tax capacity, our tax rate would actually drop to 24.904%. We had a high in our tax capacity back in 2002 when it was at 27.253%. And because of the increases in our tax capacity, our rate has actually been decreasing. Another bit of good news is in the past, we were the 6th lowest tax rate in Ramsey County. We have since, with the rate of 24.904, for 2024, we will be the third lowest tax rate in Ramsey County, with North Oaks and Arden Hills being lower than us. North Oaks is kind of a misnomer there, because a lot of their services are paid through an association fee instead of property taxes. We actually changed places with the city of White Bear Lake. The city of White Bear Lake used to be the third lowest. They are now the sixth lowest, and that's where we were. And now we're the third lowest. So we kind of switched places with them. As I said, median value home in the township actually increased 4.48% from 2023. We're now at $361,650 for our median valued home. And if you take various home values and apply it with our tax rate, this chart shows it as if your market value did not change from 2017 all the way through 2024. You can see that for 2024, you'd actually see a township drop in your property taxes if your market value stayed the same. And depending on where you are on the scale, would determine the amount that it decreased. However, since I showed you that the median value home went up, taking that same 4.48% and increasing it to all the median valued homes, the chart would actually look like this. You'd actually see a little bit of an increase. On the low end, your value would increase to $244,870, and you'd see about a $7 increase in your township property taxes. On the high end, the home would be valued at $489,740, and you'd see about a $12 increase in your property taxes. Now that's just the township share. There's other things that make up your property taxes. This chart shows you all the taxing districts. You've got Ramsey County, which is the blue area there. They make up just over 40% of your property taxes. The school district, which is the green area, makes up about 30% of your property taxes. And then the township makes up 22% of your property taxes. And then there's about 8% of miscellaneous districts, mainly state organizations and stuff that make up your, and watersheds and stuff that make up the rest of your property taxes. Again, comparing monthly costs from 2023 to 2024, this is on a median value home. You can see public safety increased from $21.73 a month to $23. Our public works actually went down from $22.09 to $22. General government also went down from $11.46 to $10.67. Park and Rec went up from $11.02 to $11.83. And then our debt service decreased from $7.48 to $6.58. So in total, the monthly cost on a median value home would have increased from $73.78 to $74.08, which is a 30-cent a month increase. And the median value home went from $346,150 in 2023 to the $361,650 in 2024. If you compare that to some of the other services that you may get, you're probably paying wireless phone service, a family plan, of about $150 a month. High-speed internet bundles for TV and phone and stuff is probably about $150. Natural gas probably runs you about $85. Township services, again, are at $74. And if you got 15 gallons of gas at today's rate, you'd be right around $45. And then you can get a home security system for about $33. So again, our budget is available on or will be available on our website and on our Facebook site once it's all approved and finalized. We will have all that information out there. We do have all of our past budgets also on the website, so you can look at those if you're really bored too. So in summary, we have total expenditures for all funds of $23,541,875. It's an increase of 7.6%. Our general fund, or our operating fund, is at $6,244,627, which is an increase of 10.44%. And then we have a total property tax levy proposed at $5,682,000 even, and that's an increase of 4.906%. Applying that to the monthly cost on a home, it's between $48 to $103. It's an increase of about 7.71 to 11.86%. I have a little typo in the slides in your handout, so it's not correct. And then finally, the tax capacity of the township increased to 21,149,985, which is a 10.25% increase. And because of that increase in the tax capacity, the 2024 proposed tax rate is a decrease of 3.69% down to 24.904%. And with that, I will take any questions. And as Bob alluded, if you could come up to the microphone and give your name and address, it would be much appreciated for the record. And with that, thank you.
My name is Don Harvey. I live at 748 Gilfillan Lane. My question is, you have this agenda and figures tonight. Is this when they just first became available?
They were actually put on our website probably last Thursday. So they've been out there for basically the weekend.
This is my first attendance here at the annual meeting, and I was wondering why we wouldn't be able to get this information before we come to the meeting. This, and reason I ask this is don't have any time to study the figures when it's just given to us here.
Certainly. I'll admit, this year we were a little bit later in getting the numbers put onto, or the PowerPoint and the proposed budget onto our website. We were a little bit later than what we normally do. We've been shorthanded in the finance department since the middle of the year. And so we've been kind of playing catch up on a lot of things, and a lot of things haven't gone as smoothly as we would like. And so The budget did get pushed back a little bit later than what we normally like to have it done. Some of it is just, as far as the budget is concerned, some of it is just the nature of the beast. We don't get some of the numbers from like the city, the state, and so forth until later. And the county, how should I say this? The county has had a worse time with personnel than we have, and has completely changed over in their property tax department, except for one individual. And so they have really been late on getting out information to us. But normally we do try to get it out on our website much earlier. Yes, sir.
Jim Lynn, 2642 Suzanne Circle. I've got some questions about the public safety portion of the budget. First of all, the contract for the sheriff's going up 12+%. Does that include increasing personnel for our township?
Yes.
Yes.
So, okay, so it's not operating costs.
Yes.
Okay. Secondly, on the fire, there's 180 some thousand for what I see as a building in White Bear Lake. And we contract through them. Shouldn't we be paying off the building in a contract form rather than investing directly in the building, even though we got appropriation from the legislature for it?
Yes, we are discussing that. Let's put it to you that way.
Okay.
And we are looking at possibly other options if we have to.
Okay.
If I made that last point was a good point about the fire budget.
Yep. Thanks, Jim.
That last point made about the fire budget, particularly the building, that's a good point. We've been looking at that.
We're a little bit concerned about that, and Gem Lake, who gets fire and police, both of them from the city of White Bear Lake, is also concerned about that. Any other questions with the budget? Yes, sir.
Roger Osell, 726 Crescent Curve, live in Weston Woods Township Association. And we've been talking to the town board all year longer about the water rates. So I did some drill down in to the water fund alone, okay? I see you've increased the budget. You said you're not increasing the water rates for 2024. But I looked back at 2022 and 2021, because you don't have the 2023 results yet. And the water sales, dollar sales, increased by 25.6%, which is a normal business operation. And I know of no one that raises their rates by 25% in a single year without having an increased cost in production. Operating income for the same period of time went up 62.5%. Basically what happened was that the increase dropped right to the bottom line. Well, water usage dropped 9.4%. Basically, your usage dropped by 9.4%. Revenues went up 25%. Now you're just proposing a 0% increase, but you haven't justified the past increases that are exorbitant, and you applied all the increase to commercial and residential associations alone. The individual rates for town, for residents, went up a minimal amount, the rest went up to cover it all. And we're here to protest, I guess, water rates that are in effect right now, and we want them decreased somewhat. We'll turn it over to Steve for now.
I believe, name is Steve Navarro, 4820 Greenhaven Drive. I live in Weston Woods also, and I'm the vice president of the association. And we'd like to make a motion. I'd like to move that township roll back water rates for residential irrigation for town associations to the 2022 tier 3 level of $3.80 per 1,000 gallons, effective as of January 1st, 2024. This will be accomplished by reducing the water fund budget revenue by $100,000. Further, future residential rate water increases be no more than the consumer price index. And if you want a copy of this, I'm more than happy to give it.
Let me butt in quickly here. I'd like to ask the parliamentarian, is a motion at the budget meeting, is this motion presented at the budget meeting the best place to do that? Or should it be done at the annual town meeting?
No, it's not, this is not the proper place for this.
I asked that before.
You asked if we could do a motion. You didn't tell me what the motion was. Tonight, this is a statutory meeting, that's meeting required under statute. It's designed to do two things. One, to approve the overall budget. Two, to approve the tax levy. This motion is out of order. Now, let's be clear. I'm not saying you can't bring the motion at a regular meeting. This is not the meeting to bring it at.
So which meeting would it be?
Regular town board meeting?
I was going to say, the next town board meeting, the board will be doing, no, we did rates.
Yeah, we've already established them. So the next town board meeting is the 18th, and it will be after the utility commission discussion as well that we discussed about the association's approach. Well, I think we told somebody to drop by today. That was Thursday, the 14th is the date. You're more than welcome to do so. And we also said it at the meeting that we had everybody here.
When is it again?
December 14th. And actually the first hour of that discussion from 6 to 7 was going to be the utility commission on its own. And then representatives from the associations are more than welcome to join us at 7 o'clock at that time.
We hadn't informed.
Yeah, so we're clear. You have every right to bring this motion, but at the right meeting, and this is not the right meeting for it.
But I will answer some of your question. When the town originally put in water meters and started charging for water meters, they wanted to leave the rates flat for a few years so that they could see how everything was working. Because of that, with the improvements that all got planned for the various utilities, mainly sewer was a big one, but also in the water rate and the stormwater, our rates fell way behind. And so some of those big increases were trying to get us caught up to where we were paying both 100% of our operating costs and then 75% of our depreciation. Part of that is building up reserves so when some of those big capital items come up down the road, we have the funds available to do them and we don't have to really jack your rates in one year. So that's why some of those big increases occurred in the past. And we've now gotten to the point where they're actually doing what they're supposed to, pay for the operations and 75% of our depreciation. So hopefully we're not going to see those big increases in the future. The other problem that you kind of hit on is that we're on a tiered rate system. So The rates, the tiers are designed to encourage water conservation, which if it does what it's supposed to, our water consumption goes down. Well, because our rates are based on what the water consumption was in the past, as you use less water, we're getting less revenue, and we got to increase the rates to make up for it. So it's a catch-22. Sure.
I'm a retired businessman, so I understand exactly what you're saying. Our complaint, if you will, is that you have added more costs to associations than to residential properties. In the last meeting that I was at, we talked about what you consider common ground, and I explained that common ground in an association is equal to or less than individual homes, because you've got units and the land that's there, we refer to as common ground, but it's the land for that particular property. So it's really unfair, if you will, to charge associations more than a residential home. And that's exactly what's happening here. We're being charged at a commercial rate, if you will, rather than at a residential rate.
And we'll, like Chad said, we'll be talking about that at the Utility Commission next Thursday, a week from Thursday. And depending on what comes out of that meeting, the board will probably take it up sometime thereafter.
Yeah, you have the right to bring it up. There's no question about it. At a regular board meeting or at the, really with the Utility Commission, that's the place to do it, okay? But by all means, voice your opinion. That's what we're here for. I know you will.
My name is Wayne Calstead from Southwind Association. I just have a simple question. Are the people in the audience approving anything?
Yes, you are.
So we vote on what you've just presented.
You vote on the property tax levy of the $5,682,000,
Okay?
and then you basically make a recommendation on our operating budget.
What do you mean by recommendation?
You basically tell the board that you want them to approve a budget, the operating budget for 2024, which we have proposed at $6,244,627.
It's the overall amount you're approving.
Okay, so if we vote no on the first tax increase, that means that you guys have to go back to the drawing board and start figuring out a little bit finer, correct?
No. We probably would, but technically.
Well, that's a good answer.
Well, there is, according to the state statute, if we don't approve a final levy, it goes back to the last levy that was certified, which would be our proposed levy that was done in September, which is higher than what we're proposing tonight. If that makes sense.
Well, it does. But I can still vote no on
Yes.
Oh, yes, you have the right to do
absolutely,
that, yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, I guess our question is, okay, you've got a budget set, and the cost for water is set in that budget.
It's
No.
in the total budget, but not in our operating budget.
So the operating budget is separate, of course, from,
Yes, our operating budget is just the general fund.
okay, and the second that we're going to approve is the levy?
The property tax levy that pays our debt. Well, here, I'll go back to the
Yeah,
slide.
let's be clear on that.
Sure.
Maybe I'll get back to the slide. Okay, here is the property tax levy that you're approving, the $5,682,000, which is made up of our operating levy of $4,799,696, the fiscal disparities of $414,804, which brings you an operating levy which supports our general fund of $5,214,500. And then we've got the $467,500 for the debt levy.
Now, where does the cost for water come into that?
It doesn't. If you recall,
That's really what I was asking.
Yeah.
I'm going to go this slide. Yes. On this slide, the different pieces of the pie are the different funds that the township operates. The water fund, sewer fund, and stormwater fund is an enterprise fund, which is the green section of this pie chart. The operation of the township is that purple or blue or whatever color you want to call that. And that is what you're recommending to the town board, is just that purple portion.
Okay, so where the water is concerned, we're not voting on that tonight?
No.
Okay, that's our misconception.
Right.
We felt it was part of this whole picture.
Yeah. No, for the purposes of tonight, we have our tax levy, which supports the general fund, the purple portion, and then the debt service portion, which is the yellow section of the pie chart there. All the other I present just as information because it makes up our total budget.
Yeah. So subsequently, the meeting for the commission, which is the 14th?
14th, a week from Thursday.
That's where the discussion on water will be.
Yes.
And then that decision would be taken to the board and then developed
Correct.
into the full budget.
Correct.
Okay, just want to make clear of that.
The utility commission is an advisory commission.
Right, I
advises the
understand that.
board. Okay, I want to make sure we're clear because,
No, I understand it's not a final,
well, some people assume that some of these commissions are bodies of their own. They're not.
No,
They're simply advisory. I just want to make sure we're clear on that, so there's no confusion.
The reason you're making a recommendation on the operating budget is because by statute, whatever is approved for our operating budget, the only way we can overspend that budget is with town board approval. The other areas there, technically we can overspend them if something comes up and we need to, which is part of the reason why rates we've been setting so we can build a reserve to fund these capital improvements. Debt is pretty well set. I mean, we issue the bonds. I mean, you know what the payments are, so we know what we need to collect. But some of these other areas, you know, they can vary based on contract pricing and what have you. But that's the reason why we need a recommendation on the operating, is because the only way we can overspend that once it's approved by the town board is with town board approval. Yes, sir.
Yes. If I understood you, you said that if we voted down this 5 million, tonight's proposal, the September proposal would apply. What were the numbers in September?
I've got that here somewhere. Bear with me. It was about $100,000 more than what we're proposing now. Any other questions?
I'm Jean Patritz. I live at 1248 South Birch Lake Boulevard. And I'm just a little bit confused about so like the monthly service cost, that $74 per month. And where does that show up, like on our property tax statements, or what does that fall under?
That would be the township share, and that is based on a median value home.
Right.
So depending on what your value is, you'd have to take, well,
Right,
because we've lowered the levy than what that was calculated on, your proposed statement. But if you took your proposed statement and divided that by what's listed for the township there, and divided it by 12, you'd get close to that 74. Because like I say, we dropped the levy about 100,000, but
So technically, it looks like last year it was, say, I don't do math very well, but $885, and now it would go up to $888. So the difference of, like, I'm already paying, let's say I've already paid the $885. I take it. So is it only going up $3, or
Yep.
you're adding on the extra? So it's just technically going up $3?
yeah.
Okay. All right.
Like I say, I do it on the median value home, but I can easily calculate it out for everybody.
No, I'm just trying to figure out where it's
Yep.
going on
Yep.
on the form and everything. So
If you
that's,
recall the pie chart that I have,
Mm-hmm.
that's all those different areas are the different taxing districts that I had on there, Ramsey County, the school district, and us.
Right.
And so what I'm describing for the $74 is just the township's portion.
right. And then, so that's per month, and that's just what I really need to
Right.
understand is per month.
Where that is a yearly
Right.
total.
Okay, and then the proposed, so this is the service, and that's different from the proposed tax levy?
That is that was what we, oh, yes. What on your notice there of the proposed levy, it takes all those services and just clumps them together.
Correct.
And then what I'm trying to do is show you what each service would approximately cost you.
Correct.
If that's all we did, like for instance, if all we did was public safety, you would pay $23.
Right, I understand that. I'm just trying to figure out,
Yep.
because, so we're voting on the proposed tax levy.
You're voting on the proposed tax levy and then making a recommendation on the budget.
Okay, so
Two separate motions.
I know, I'm just trying to figure out numbers-wise, the tax levy for my, let's just say my home is 361, so the proposed tax on that, because, is that the 24%?
No, the 24% was what our tax capacity
Okay,
went up. I think the best way to maybe help you would be after the meeting. I could.
well,
sit
yeah,
down
I mean, I want to vote on it correctly, I'm just trying to figure out
Yeah.
where the money.
Basically, what you have to do is you would take your taxable market value on that notice, and again, it's our property tax system. You multiply that by 1% to get your tax capacity, and then you would multiply that by our tax rate, which is the 24,904,
Okay.
and that would give you the town's tax that you would pay.
Okay, all right. Just trying to figure out where all that.
Clear as mud, right? Yes.
Kevin Hallbach, 2654 Suzanne Circle. The estimates or projections of next year's property taxes have come out. The number, we got ours in the mail. There's the two columns, last year and this year.
Correct.
The number that's used for 24, is that the number submitted based on September?
Yes.
That's the clarification. Because if that number goes down tonight when we approve it, we can look at that statement
And you,
and know that it's going to be lower relative to the township. We can divide that by 12, and we come up with our $74 a month, or
Yeah, well, it
96
depends on,
or whatever.
Yeah, it depends
Whatever
on
it
your
is.
market value, but yes.
yeah, but divide that number by 12 and you get the yellow bar.
Yep.
Okay, so that number's out. It should be lower. September's number is what's reflected in that estimate. And I think that's the clarification most of us need.
Yes.
Thanks, Kevin.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I'm going to turn it back over to Bob.
I thought I had some questions, but I think they're pretty well covered from the floor. One, I'm glad you brought up the clarification here at the end. It's unfortunate that the final budget numbers here weren't available earlier than last Thursday. But if nothing else, you have the preliminary budget, and it was established at a preliminary budget meeting just like this. But it's a clear understanding that those are preliminary, very early numbers, subject to a lot of change. And usually, Tom and the staff try to put together a reasonable budget at that time, but it's based on very preliminary information. So typically what you see is a higher estimate for that preliminary budget. And I won't guarantee you can count on it, but then typically what happens is that this final budget tonight is less than that preliminary budget.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. So that brings us back to the agenda here. And as was mentioned, we have, we need a motion to approve the 2024 property tax levy. That's the $5,682,000 number. So I'll ask if there's a motion from the floor to approve the 2024 property tax levy.
I would like to make a motion that we approve the 2024 property tax levy. It's Kevin Albach, 2654 Suzanne. That we approve the number $5,682,000.
I second the motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there further discussion? If not, I'll call the question. Those in favor of approving the property tax levy, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. The next item is to recommend to the town board that the 2024 general fund budget be set at $6,244,627. Again, this is a proposal to the town board, a recommendation to the town board. Is there a motion to that effect? Is there a second? Okay, motion's been made and seconded, and I'll repeat it just to make sure. We're recommending that the 2024 general fund budget is proposed at $6,244,627. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. First, I'd like to thank you all for the input and the comments, and we clarified a few things tonight. All right, item number 9 on the agenda is to schedule a date and a time and a place for for the special town meeting for the 2025 budget. And we have one recommendation and an alternative recommendation. So the recommended date is Tuesday, December 3rd, 2004, 7 p.m. at this location, Heritage Hall. And if that date doesn't work out, the weather or whatever the event might be, there's an alternative date identified for Thursday, December 5th, 2024, 7 p.m. this location. Is there a motion to use that schedule? Is there a second? Motion's made and seconded. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Is there any other business regarding the town budget?
Staff that is here, we've got Dale Reed, our Public Works Director, sitting up front. And then our new finance analyst, who is replacing somebody who retired, is Haley Rodriguez, and she's in the front row here. She's the one doing all the work in finance right now.
And she tells better jokes.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody tells better jokes.
All right, the last item on the agenda is to adjourn the meeting. Is there a motion? Is there a second? Motion's been made and seconded. We are adjourned.